A woman will be a 4, think she's a 9, try to date other men that are 9, turn 30, recognize all she can get is a 4, date a 4, tell people she's settling, but she's actually a 4 dating a 4.
Mike has been on record as saying that most men have never been with a 4.
I said 99% of men have never been with a 4.
With a 4,
yes.
Okay. Well, what do you have to say about this chick right here?
Bay Area, girls are called 49ers, 4s who think they're 9s because of the ratio. So they treat men really poorly, and it traumatizes a lot of men, and then guys go into this like weird path.
That's so
What about
funny.
49ers? How does that fit into your scenario, Mr. Man?
That's pretty funny. That actually kind of solidifies my scenario. Hypergamy is something that we can prove mathematically. We can prove hypergamy. There's also assortative mating. That happens, my whole hypothesis is assortative mating happens after hypergamy is over, meaning not over, but like a woman will be a 4, think she's a 9, try to date other men that are 9, turn 30, recognize all she can get is a 4, date a 4, tell people she's settling, but she's actually a 4 dating a 4. I actually think that's closer to what reality is from an economic standpoint. The reason why the baristas don't date the billionaires is because there's 4,000 billionaires and there's 50,000, 100,000, 200,000 baristas. The mathematics don't work out in the situation. Statistically speaking, it doesn't work out that way. I can't prove that. Well, actually, I can prove it to you. Women, if in general, you ladies probably have an estimation in your mind about where you sit on a scale in comparison to other women. Okay? You probably do. And in your comparison to that scale in your mind, and I'm not using these numbers to objectify looks, just in general, if we were to stratify 10 million dating profiles and we were to put you in the median profile, that would make you a 5 by definition. I'm not insulting you. I'm just saying you're a 5 because you have the 10 millionth one. The 5 millionth one would be a 5. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course.
You'd be in the top 10%. That would make you a 9.
Yeah.
You got it?
Yeah.
What's happened is if a woman in general, because of hypergamy, thinks she's a 7 and sees a man who is anything lower than a 7, she cannot commit or want to date him. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
This is why hypergamy works. This is why throughout history, 40% of men and 80% of women have reproduced, because there's this massive number of men who they're so far down on the hypergamy scale that they do not get selected. The problem that makes that even worse, it makes that whole issue even worse with the whole 49er thing, is what she said before. It's not just that a woman who's a 7 thinks she's a 7. It's that a woman who's a 7 reached out to a guy who's a 10 and he had sex with her, or at least wrote her back, and now she thinks she's a 10. Now, who can she date from a hypergamy standpoint? No one. No one. That's the problem. The thing that makes it even worse is how many women are watching other women on social media being like, I want to go to Monaco like her. I want to go to Ibiza like her.
Yeah.
I want to go to Dubai like her. I want to go to France like her. Not recognizing you're watching a hooker. That's an escort you're watching.
Or you just take yourself.
Huh?
That's that. I was gonna say.
No, for sure.
I see that. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh
do your
damn!
own.
Like, I
Right.
love
Okay,
that.
Laura,
I
do you
wanna earn
think most of those girls in Dubai are taking themselves? Is that what you think's coming out?
No.
Okay.
But
How about Ibiza? What about Ibiza?
Right.
But it is funny when people ask me, like, they're like, "Oh, where's the guy?" I'm like, "I'm the guy."
Yeah.
There are a lot of women who are going on solo trips.
No, I'm with you. And if they go on solo trips, that's fine. But the majority of what they're seeing is not women going on solo trips. You don't have a business, but you're riding in a private jet.
Yeah.
Really? Is that because you're it's just, was it your aura that got you the
Right,
the
this
private
isn't
jet?
a Cody
It was your vibe.
Sanchez
It was your vibe that got you the private jet. No,
Manifested it.
your
That bitch
aura
does nails. What's he doing?
Hey.
your aura and your vibe did not get you the private
I
jet.
just looked at the
My
stars
vibe's
and I
gotten
saw
some
it
stuff.
coming.
Your aura and vibe did not get you the private jet. What got you the private jet was having sex with rich men. I'm not saying you guys did. I'm saying in general. And then other women see that and it colludes what they believe is possible, real, and available to them. So now this problem, the 49er thing she said before, is absolutely true. And it becomes a problem to women's detriment as well as men's. But if you're one of the men who she thinks is a 9 because you fix your social circle, have a bunch of followers, get in really good shape, get really funny, all the whatever things you can do to raise up your attributes, what you find is there's a ton of women chasing after you. And it's not like a little bit. It's ridiculous. It's 7, 8 girls a week if you wanted to go out with them who are stunningly beautiful. That's what happens for those men that are at the top. And then the rest of them are getting left behind. I have an academic. I'm not going to say what he does because he wants to remain anonymous. We're doing an interview and he's going over dating app data that shows dating apps only benefit the top 10% of men. Okay. Now we have hard statistical data showing this manifestation of hypergamy. And I agree that women marry men who are around their same status after they
marry
Chad.
Yes.
After they Tyrone. Yes, they do. They end up marrying guys who are around the same status.
Assortative mating?
Yeah. Assortative mating is assortative mating happens afterwards.
Yes. Again, the echo chamber once again.
Yes.
Do you remember back in the foggy days when mate switching hypothesis was a thing. Now it's not. And all of a sudden we have to replace that with something. Everybody wanted to do assortative mating. And guess what? Dual mating strategy and hypergamy is still here. And it still seems to be the most robust theory that's working and provides us with a good predictive framework right now. So whenever I get in those arguments or these talks with these guys, it's like, well, what about, I love this. It's like, well, if you look at people who are married and you look at high value men, right? They're always execs. Like they always use Jeff Bezos as an example, which by the way, if you're going to use Jeff Bezos as your apex example of assortative mating, you might want to rethink your hero here, because all you got to do is go look and see what Lauren Sanchez is about. Okay. Because high value, she ain't it. Okay. There's probably better examples you could put as the thumbnail to your thing.
Let's say it a different way. Let's say it a different way. You're married. Me, Spencer, and Moff, we're not as rich as Jeff Bezos, I think it's fair to say. And I think any one of the three of us would be embarrassed to date Lauren Sanchez.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Hold on. Wait, look, let's take Tony Gonzalez, your baby's daddy, on vacation with us. He can go on the trip. We would be embarrassed to date Lauren Sanchez.
I'm
and that's what
pretty
she's
sure
settled
she
for.
doesn't have a degree in anything.
Yeah.
Okay. The point I'm making is every time I get into this conversation,
I think she understands how to beat NFL defense.
But the problem is they're trying to say that assortative mating and using marriage as the metric for success in all of this is trying to define a mating strategy. It is not, okay? And blows me away because some very well-meaning evolutionary psychologists fall into this trap as well, is they want to use marriage and monogamy as the evidence of success for a particular mating strategy. It's not about who's getting with who. It's about who wants to who. That's what it comes down to. If that woman, like you were saying, the 49ers, if that chick wants to be if she's a 4 and she wants to get with she thinks she's a 9, that's all that matters in that equation right there. That is what defines that mating strategy. So what happens is you've got women in the global sexual marketplace right now who see one of their friends who does nails get flown out to Drake's yacht party in Biscayne Bay or something like that.
Most, because here's the problem.
Perception.
When we keep saying Drake or movie star or whatever, obviously that's not happening with most women.
Obviously.
But for most women, what happens is there's a certain place of, like, because of your physical attractiveness, who you can get. Let's just say it's not Drake. Let's just say you live in Wichita and there's a guy who's a personal injury attorney and he's got his billboards all over Wichita, and you hook up with that guy. Just that guy. We're just talking like the number one personal injury attorney in your city. And he will have sex with you. He will never leave his wife for you, but he will have sex with you. And you and other women can now compete for his attention. Why? Because you have access to social media, and it creates this incredible dilemma of perceived choice. It's perceived dilemma of choice. You don't actually have that choice. We as men, our fantasy ends when we message Megan Fox and no one responds. That's the end of our fantasy.
Damn.
We go and we message Sydney Sweeney, no response.
Damn.
Nothing
I think
happens.
there's a word for this.
What?
It's called hoflation.
Hoflation.
Yeah,
there you go.
hoflation.
I'm glad. Thank you, Myron.
All right, ladies, okay.